Tonight on the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean, we are talking all things The Batman with our special guest, the casual moviegoer. Tune in for a good one.
Change the game just now. I have a rave.
These are the best ideas I've ever heard.
I'm saying that's the commentary that will exist.
A Barbie girl in a Barbie world.
Defiled Mickey Mouse.
Oh my god!
Welcome to the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean. I am Joe. He is Sean, and this is episode 87 with special guest back from the dead. Undertaker rises again. The casual moviegoer himself, Ankit. How are you doing?
I'm great, thank you. That was an awesome intro.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that yet.
We love the video intro.
Played around, we're trying to get a little more savvy a year and a half in. How have things been? I know we catch up every once in a while about life and stuff, but things been going well?
Yeah, man, things are going really well. Yeah, just I as you can tell, I seem a lot more relaxed and a lot more chill these days.
One of the hardest working people when you were running that site, so I totally get it. It is a full-time job on top of our full-time jobs.
Oh, yes.
So it is a whole lot of fun. So we have a lot to talk about tonight. Of course, we're going to get to the Batman. Then there's some news about the spinoff shows and what's happening there. Warner Brothers is really going all in on the Batman as they push a lot of their other movies back yet another year. So this is going to be really interesting to talk about. First, let's talk about the trailers that we got. We got two trailers today. One is the Red Band trailer for The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent. So finally, we have a little bit more of an understanding of what's going on in this crazy Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage movie. Ankit, have you seen this before?
Yes, I saw the first original trailer when it dropped, and then the second one. But that's the only inclination I have about the movie. I have no idea who wrote it, who directed it, nothing like that.
Someone said on Twitter today that this is going to be their Barb and Star Go to Vista Del Mar, just the ridiculous comedy release. Is it something that you're into?
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to deny Nick Cage, whether he's doing a really good movie or a really bad movie. I like how meta this is going, and I mean, I have a huge crush on Pedro Pascal, so I'm going to watch anything he's in, let's be honest.
There's one scene in the trailer where they're standing across from one another and he's like, I don't want to kill you. He's like, I don't want to kill you. I love you. And that is right up my alley. Sean, we watched the original one, I think, on the podcast a month and a half ago or whenever that came out. How do you feel after the second trailer that gave us a little bit more context?
This gave me a little bit new life. I was always worried this movie was going to disappear up its own ass. There's sometimes meta, and then there's a very, very heavy meta. I worried that this would be relying too much on, this is Nicolas Cage, instead of putting something more into it. We now see that there is a plot forming. This plot could actually link to the craziness of what past movies of Nicolas Cage can be. So there's something where all of this really does fit together. The plot is also rather generic, even though it is from a ridiculous lens. But I'm still just after this trailer, I finally now I'm excited for it, knowing okay, I can go into this kind of expecting something that's not just a child with a coloring book of Nicolas Cage drawings, which is what I was coming close to expecting at first.
What was happening at the end there where he was screaming and he looked like younger Nicolas Cage, all shaven and everything? Did you guys catch that?
Yeah. I figured he was just playing I don't know, maybe he's captured at some point and he has to get out of it by playing all his iconic
characters or something.
I think they're doing a lot of drugs, and so I think at that moment is when it's really, really gotten to the point where things are out of hand.
Yeah, this is going to be a really interesting watch. I kind of, as soon as I saw that tweet about this is their Barb and Star, I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I can see that because that was a ridiculous movie. And they even introduced this trailer by saying instead of Lionsgate, they said Lion's Cage. If you caught that at the beginning.
I did not. Oh my God.
So they're all in on this, which is always fun. So let's shift gears a little bit. Today was the Disney Investors Day and the annual shareholders meeting. I'll get to more of that later. But the biggest announcement today, and this kind of was predicted all morning and pretty much all week, I guess people were talking about it, is we finally got a good look at Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series that hits Disney Plus in the States on May 25th. This is the return of Ewan McGregor. We also get Hayden Christensen back as Darth Vader, although we didn't see him in this trailer. But we didn't we talked about this a little bit before coming on. Not a ton of context as to like what the actual story is, other than we know we have the Inquisitors who have never before been on screen aside from the animated Rebel series. And then we also get that shot of looking at young Anakin Skywalker, or no, young Luke Skywalker, I guess it is. So when they throw these timelines around, I'm like, who are we dealing with here?
I think everybody said Anakin at that point at first, because they literally were just like, it's Anakin Skywalker, because he's got like the same motions and he's doing everything just like Anakin. And then like for a second I was like, wait a minute, no, can't happen.
Sean, we always talk about the purpose behind these shows, and if they're just fan service or what they actually have going on. It seems like the story here is going to be that they're hunting down the last Jedi in the universe. Jedi plural, I should say. Yeah. Are you into this? Did this like tickle your fancy?
Oh God, yeah. I mean, I looked at something like this. I mean, this is one of the great unifiers in our household. My wife normally, likes some of the Star Wars, not all of the Star Wars, but I said, do you want to watch the new Obi-Wan trailer? And she came scampering over and just we both watched, because she just loves Ewan McGregor. And so we both are able to appreciate this from that level. I remember finding out that this was the timeline between basically 3 and 4. And I thought, well, from how does he go from looking like Ewan McGregor to looking like Alec Guinness? I'm like, he's probably seen some shit. And so I like that there's going to be some kind of adventures there, and it's sort of fascinating me. The Hayden Christensen casting is still strange, just because all he's going to be is probably Darth Vader. Maybe there'll be a couple of times where he takes off his little helmet and shows himself to the world, and you can see a little made up Hayden Christensen. But other than that, I'm very excited. I mean, I believe, and there was a lot of shuffling around, so this could be wrong, I believe Deborah Chow is either showrunner or directing a lot of the episodes, and she's responsible for a lot of the action-packed episodes of Mandalorian. So I mean, yeah. I'm in right there.
I think she's doing the majority of the episodes, if I remember correctly. But like you said, there's just a lot of discussion around who's directing what with all these series. It does look like there's a lot of action, too. That was primarily what we were seeing. Ankit, how have you felt about the Star Wars journey on Disney Plus so far?
Okay, I was wondering if you guys knew this or not, but so I gave up on Star Wars after Rise of Skywalker. I have not watched a single piece of Star Wars content since that movie dropped. And it has nothing to do with the movie itself. It's this whole thing about the fandom and the fan base being toxic, blah, blah, blah. All that kind of stuff. Don't want to get into that. But I have not watched a single piece of Star Wars content. So no Mandalorian, no Boba Fett, no... What was the other one? There was a third one, right?
The animated one.
Yeah, no, I haven't seen anything. That being said, this is... Obi-Wan's making me really close to breaking my own rule.
Do it.
I can't. I need to have some conviction. But I think Mary Elizabeth Winstead was also cast in some undisclosed role. Yeah, and she's my number one. So
God, yeah.
This is a stacked cast.
It's just a good cast. Duel of Fates in the trailer. I always liked Hayden Christensen. So yeah. I'm part of me wants to support it, but also a big part of me is I can't go back. I made a stance.
I'm like, yeah, you got a job. As soon as I saw Hayden was back, I was like, of course he is. What else do you have going on?
I know, yeah.
Hey, will you do this? I'm excited for it. I like that it's 6 episodes. I think let's not go too crazy with it. Hawkeye did really well with 6 episodes, and I was completely fine with that. So not to compare both, but
I really do hope it's just 3 episodes of Obi-Wan, and then they just do 3 quick episodes of The Mandalorian and just cut off his story right away.
So that story, right, Ankit, that the Book of Boba Fett started off really slow, in my opinion.
It was slow.
I don't know anything about all this. All I know is Boba Fett, isn't he only in the entirety of the show for less than 10 minutes.
So essentially, like it turned into like the Mandalorian 2.5.
Okay.
Like there was an episode where it was weird because there's about like 2 or 3 episodes with Boba Fett, and I'm like, okay, cool. This is like kind of slow. It's like I'm sort of enjoying it. There's definitely some flaws. And then the 4th episode is just a Mandalorian episode. I'm like, wow, that was kind of great and stuff. It was just the Mandalorian and stuff. Then I was like, okay, so they're gonna do that thing where it's like one character in one episode. Then we're gonna go back. And the 5th one is Mandalorian again. And the 6th one is I'm like, did they? And so finally there's like you said, Boba Fett's in like 10 minutes of the 7th one, and he's just like, I'm gonna go play tennis. And then he just like, leaves and runs down the stairs.
In your opinion, did he need a show? Because like when I was, because I grew up with the prequels, right? And then I watched the original trilogy just based on like the age I was in. And Boba Fett was always like this, the guy, like he was like this like mysterious figure. So I figured he'd have this amazing role in the original trilogy, but he didn't. Like he's just like the stoic dude in the background. So then I was like, oh, he's getting his own show. Okay, like what's that going to be about? And it looks like didn't amount to much.
Boba Fett is basically merchandise that got out of hand in the 70s and 80s, where it's like, that thing next to Darth Vader looks awesome. And it's like, I get it. Okay, cool. Action figures. Then it dies in a monster, but then like just let fans go nuts for it. And, everybody buys that thing that's there. And so then, they think, all right, cool. We can get some more stuff out of it. And turns out,
I honestly feel like they finished and decided to do a Book of Boba Fett series because they're like, oh, he was really good in the Mandalorian season. Let's say the Book of Boba Fett's coming. And then once they got into it, we're like, oh no, we don't have much story to tell. Let's kind of shepherd in the, Mandalorian and get his story kicking again, because it just felt so pointless to me, at least the beginning. I to be honest, haven't finished the series or the season because I watched like 2 episodes, and was so out of it. Yeah. But not my favorite character, and not a blast of a series like The Mandalorian could be. But all right, let's shift and get into what we've been watching. And there's a little movie that came out this past week that nobody is talking about. It's called The Batman. So this hit theaters on Friday. In the States, it's just crossed $155 million as of yesterday. Surprisingly had a stronger day yesterday than it did on Monday, which it's just funny watching how this stuff happens as a box office nerd here. But it has made over about $280 million worldwide. It is generally very positive in terms of the feedback that it has been getting. Ankit, Sean and I have shared our thoughts already, but we want to share them with you after we hear your thoughts on this, because you told me last night that you were getting your thoughts in order. Oh boy!
I don't amp me up or anything.
Let's hear it.
Here we go. No, man. Honestly, I loved it, and I feel like I'm one of those people who's buying into the hype, but I don't think it's a hype movie. I definitely feel like it's one of those pieces of content where it reached the level of hype that it was assigned to it. I personally think it's better than The Dark Knight. I know that's kind of a very contentious point right now. For my own reasons, I like it better. I'm no way comparing one-on-one. Yeah, this is why it's better. This is why Dark Knight's worse. They're totally in the same playing field. It just slowly wins it for me. Is there something specific I should be talking about, or?
No, so general thoughts, you really enjoyed it. What did you think? Was there any standout actor for you? A lot of people have gone generally positive when it came to Robert Pattinson, but one of the things that Sean and I both, I think, agreed on, and this is getting into a little bit of news later, is Colin Farrell's Penguin. It, to me, was a standout.
Yeah, no, definitely. The funny thing about Colin Farrell, and I was going to bring this up afterwards as well, but his casting really made me realize how hard it is to be a casting director. Because I remember when it was first being announced that the Penguin was going to be a villain, everyone started fan casting, and all they could do was fan cast bigger actors, larger actors, because they're like, oh, the Penguin's chubby, so they got to get a chubby guy. And that's only where their mind went. They were like, oh, you got to get Jonah Hill in the role. And nobody saw Colin Farrell coming, but he knocks it out of the park. He's amazing in the role. And I'm really glad that he's getting a spinoff, so he has more time to just flesh out that kind of the character. And I really think he can bring the level of sympathy that you haven't really seen before with the Penguin character. But yeah,
I think we kind of get that already from the performance in this movie, like the sympathetic just underling, or the sympathetic feel or empathetic feel to the underling of Falcone here. Falcone. Whatever.
This has been the greatest controversy of the Batman movies. It's not Dark Knight or or the Batman.
Falcone
it
or
is
Falcone.
Falcone or Falcone, because that's the pronunciation that's been screwing people up.
Did you guys hear that apparently Matt Reeves, when Robert Pattinson was cast in Tenet, was like, oh shit, because he really wanted Robert Pattinson for this role. And then I guess during the filming of Tenet, he snuck off to go do the audition, and Christopher Nolan was, because he's the king of theater. He saved theaters.
He saved theater 2 years ago. Yeah, he saved all movie theater. All movie theaters are saved because of Christopher Nolan. All hail.
Already 2 years ago. Oh my god.
Christopher Nolan was actually just cast in Oppenheimer.
Nice.
But yeah, he was like, "You're going to do the Batman, aren't you?"
Yeah, he's like a dog who smells another dog on you. He's like, where were you? I smelled the Batman on you.
I like to think like maybe like it's like, oh yeah, no, Nolan was a genius or something like that. No, maybe like Pattinson accidentally still had the cowl on. Like, oh shit!
Sean, it's been a few days. I know that you're someone that likes to sit on it a lot, and we got into a really good discussion about the Batman on Saturday. Has anything changed from your review of it, number one, but number two, is there any other aspect of it that you're like amped up to see more of?
I'm like sort of level at the same playing field I am. I think the tiny little things that bothered me, which is mainly what everyone is saying is bothering them, which is the bloat, have dissipated, and I've had close to no issue. I just felt, I don't like to complain about a specific runtime, saying hey, the 3 hour runtime bothered me, but there were moments in it where I thought, the story was reaching its end and there was still about an hour left. Yeah, I thought that had some issues. I'm going to go, when I go into my rave, I'm going to go into, one of what I think might be my best moments in the Batman Now. It was actually a Slash Film article that,
I know exactly which one you're talking about.
Yeah, dude, it got me amped this morning when I read it. But in terms of what I've seen, I just love what they created with Gotham. I can't get over how much what they created with Gotham, where it's not the Burton's level of just complete comic book fantasy. It's not the completely modern Nolan version either. You get some realism to certain cities, like there's an obvious Madison Square Garden, just like there was an obvious Chicago license plate
in Gotham Square Garden.
And then they had the Chicago license plate, or the Illinois license plate, obviously, for the Chicago Gotham in the Dark Knight, and they have those levels. But I just love the setting and the set piece they have here. The fact that this was not new Batman, but definitely not the one that's used to his stuff yet. And so he has this vengeance where he's screwing up a lot and he doesn't exactly know what he wants to do with this newfound Batman. And he's trying to figure that out. And I think it's weird that they found something original for Batman, because that's friggin' impossible to do now. But they did it. They did it very well.
It's actually interesting you bring that up because, sorry, Joe,
go for it.
I totally cut you off because you said it's they found something new to do with Batman. I actually feel like Batman is one of those characters who's constantly getting reinvented, and it works. I personally loved Batman Ninja, the animated movie.
Oh, yeah.
I loved Gotham by Gaslight. I even really like Lego Batman. I just feel like Batman is one of those guys you just plop him into any setting or any era, and it'll work for some reason.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. And we're getting another one with DC League of Super Pets. But
that's going to definitely 180 million in the first weekend on that one.
Oh, Keanu's voicing. So I was very harsh on this movie. Not very harsh, but I had a lot of negatives with it. And one of them that I continue to think about is something that Sean pointed out to me. It kind of flipped an argument I had on its head. And that was that we didn't spend much time with Bruce Wayne. So when we're talking about the performance of Robert Pattinson, I was struggling a little bit with being able to say one way or another how I felt about it, because 90% of the time is spent as Batman. But Sean, your point that was kind of the point there, is that he wants to be Batman all the time. He doesn't know how to be Bruce Wayne. And specifically referencing when Alfred's like, hey, the accountants are coming, and he's like, ugh. that whole scene that really flipped on me. And the other thing I'll say, and I did say this when I originally reviewed it, and I stand by this, and I think we're gonna talk about this more with some of the news. Matt Reeves built a really great world here, and laid some seeds, whether that's with the Arkham family and how Arkham Asylum came to be, or other characters that may be out there, subtle nods to other characters. And just exploring, I think, a little bit more. Like, I want to know what movie his parents were seeing in 2001 when they were killed. It could have been Shrek. It could have been Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. If they went to an old-timey theater, they could have been seeing what came out in 98. I don't know. I can't remember which one I said the other day. Fast and the Furious was pointed out to me. They could have been seeing a lot of different things. So, like, talk about modernizing it.
But the station agent, definitely. Early Dinklage.
But no, I all jokes aside, I think that there's a lot to explore here because Gotham had a presence and sort of a life of its own that I really enjoyed. I know a lot of people are saying when we get to the spinoff talk that we don't really need that because we've had a Gotham show and we've had all that stuff. But we'll talk a little bit more about why I'm on board with the direction they're going based on some of the news that's come out soon. But all in all, I was supposed to go see it again the other night and I didn't go.
I carve out amount of time.
I booked a ticket for like 11 a.m. and it got to like 10:30 and I was like, I don't want to go. I don't want to get up yet.
Interesting.
But I need to get back.
I find it interesting that you said you wanted more Bruce Wayne.
Mm-hmm.
Because I definitely agree with Sean that I like that this was like a 90% Batman film. And that's kind of my main point about why I love this movie so much is because a lot of people like to say it's a gritty version of Batman and like a realistic version.
Yeah.
I actually think it's the exact opposite. And I was having a conversation with my friend about this. I actually feel like it's the most like fantastical Batman yet. Like it's when I was watching it, I wasn't like, yeah, this is what Batman would be like in real life. I was like, this is like a fictional, like dream-like Batman, And I bring it back to like the Bruce Wayne comic because I don't know, I found these parallels where like it's always raining, it's always nighttime, he's always wearing the Batman suit, and he's like sleep deprived. It's like it's a complete nightmare scenario. It's almost like when you have a bad dream, you wake up in a bad dream, or when you think of a bad dream, you're always like dropped in that same spot. It's the same setting. It's the same like kind of look and feel, like you're stuck in an endless cycle. And that's what I really liked about the movie was kind of, it felt like a nightmare where he's just like plowing through people to kind of wake up. Because, actually all the daylight scenes in the movie are usually like the ones where he has the most clarity, almost like he's awake at a point. So yeah, I don't know. I really like that we didn't get much of Bruce Wayne in this. And it was just kind of like Batman wrecking shit.
That's really interesting because I do think that this is going to be a movie that people are going to continue to think about and dissect for some of those thematic elements. Mm-hmm. And I'm coming around to exactly what you're saying too, Ankit. I guess like going into Batman movies, I realize that I always have a checklist of certain things I want to see. Mm-hmm. Like I want to see the Bruce Wayne, I want to see the Batman, I want to see like the Batmobile and all that stuff. And side note, I saw the Batmobile in person in Philly, and that shit looked cheap as hell. I don't know if it was like
cheap in the movie. I think that was the point of it.
And I was just like, but yeah. So I definitely think I have some work to do there to like position myself to accept the changes and stuff and see the value in that. That's really deep for a movie critic talking about Batman.
This is a Batman.
but no, I do think, I mean, there's a reason why AMC chose it as an artisan film early on. And I think a lot of people are going to be talking about it. So someone just tweeted me real quick and said Kermit the Frog was just cast in Oppenheimer. But let's move on to some other movies that we've been watching, and I'll touch on these quickly. I saw Turning Red, which comes out on Friday on Disney Plus.
Nice.
Turning Red is an adorable Pixar movie that is really unlike anything we've seen before. It's more simple in a lot of ways, which works for the themes of the movie. But it also tackles a lot to do with adolescence and specifically with young women going through adolescence. And, won't go any deeper into that. But it's beautifully animated. It's a lot of fun. It's the most fun I've had with a Pixar movie in years, probably because it didn't dive too deep into like heavier themes. But it did. It's just all about the pressures of family and how you balance wanting to go on your own path, but living up to what your family wants. It's culturally beautiful as well. I really did enjoy it. I actually keep thinking about it more and more, and I'm really excited to revisit it. This director, this filmmaker, is just absolutely incredible. I'm blanking on her name right now. Domi Shi, but she was the woman who created Bao, the short,
amazing short film,
creepy ass but amazing,
amazing short film.
Yep. So this was her first big one, which I love, and I think she knocked it out of the park. It's set in Toronto, so there you go.
Represent.
So it will be heading to the Canada Pavilion at Epcot. That's immediately where my mind went. I'm like, so we're just going to erase Brother Bear, I guess.
Brother,
I was losing my mind.
I haven't heard about that in so long.
God.
Wow, Brother Bear.
One of my favorite Disney movies. I am a strange man.
But take.
Yeah, Mei Lee as the lead too. I can totally see her becoming someone that young girls are really latched onto as a character, and I think there's a lot more that they could do with this as well. Are you guys looking forward to Turning Red?
I am, yeah. I mean, so Turning Red, this is Disney Pixar, correct?
Yep.
So this will be available on Disney Plus for free. It'll actually be downloaded on our iPhones. We'll actually be getting it streamed into our minds because we don't have to do anything.
Yeah, YouTube produced it.
Yeah. Okay. There we go. No, I'm looking forward to it. Definitely. Like this, it's a Pixar film. So there's a staple to this. And, automatically it goes into the rank and file that we all have. And sometimes that means it goes, right to the bottom. And sometimes it means it goes right to the middle because our tops of our Pixars are sacred and they can't be moved ever. And then that one moment they do get shaken up, we start to wonder what to do. I'm saying this right now because I had to just now for the League of Cinephiles rank my top 5 Pixar, and I was crying the entire time. I narrowed it down to about 13, and I just I'm just deleting some of them while just crying just the most amount of tears I've ever cried.
Coco, Inside Out, they're in my top 5.
Yeah, exactly. This is the problem. I think it's people. You could say that most of them are going to be the same, but there's going to be a lot of different ones out there.
Yeah, I hear you. Ankit, is this one that you're excited for representing?
Well, no, 100%. Honestly, I am most excited because it takes place in Toronto, and I'm just happy to support any sort of Canadian film. But I remember when the first trailer came out. As you guys know, I'm Indian. We were sharing the trailer in our family WhatsApp because for half a second, there's a Sikh guy in one of the shots, and we were like, "Oh my God, there's an animated Indian! This is amazing!" So of course, it comes with the territory, Canadian. It's all about diversity and everything. So, long answer short, yes, I am looking forward.
Yeah, and I think that's what a lot of the discourse has been around is the representation in this just being phenomenal, and that's something that I think Disney is starting to do very well. Complete side note, but they showed a video package about Encanto during the shareholders meeting today. And it was a 2-minute, talking about the impact of it, showing TikTok videos and all this. And by the end of it, I was like, oh my God, this is so beautiful. And so, I'm reading some stories of people walking out of Turning Red and meaning after seeing Turning Red saying just how stunned they were to see themselves on the screen and how they connected with, the cultural heaviness of the way the Asian family is depicted. And it was great. So I'm interested to see how people feel about it because, like I said, it's a simpler film than a lot of the other Pixar films, and I think that caught people off guard. But there's also a beauty in that too.
But Disney's really hit their stride with the whole cultural relevance, genre of film. Like you said, Coco and Encanto. This one, they've really hit a stride where it's there's so much to work with. You could do so many different cultures, so many different mythologies.
Yeah, it's exciting. And Encanto, by the way, which was referred to as a franchise today during the shareholder meeting. So get ready for a lot more Encanto.
Encanto. There it is.
If that's not the name, I'm not watching it.
I'm walking out.
The other one I want to touch on real quick is Lucy and Desi. I know that you saw this as well, Sean.
Yes.
This was on Amazon Prime Video down here. I absolutely loved it. And the more that I was considering it, I thought they did such a great job, basically because of the access that Amy Poehler had to the estate of Lucy and Desi, Lucy probably specifically. There's tapes that are used where it's her, they're never before heard, and it's her, Lucy actually narrating or like talking about her life, and the way that they incorporated that onto what you were seeing on the screen and balanced that with, Bette Midler or Carol Burnett and all of that. It really just goes to show how they were titans of industry that really are responsible for the start of like the modern sitcom, and then also how they just kind of ran Hollywood for a little bit and nobody talks about that.
It is unbelievable that about 20 minutes of this documentary, well, maybe I'm being dramatic, but like almost like 30 minutes of this documentary is I Love Lucy. And then you got the, their personal life for a portion of it. And then the majority of this is them having Desilu Studios and them running the shows that we never realized, like Robert Stack getting up there at the Kennedy Center honors because he was like, Lucille Ball gave me my job for being Elliot Ness in The Untouchables. We're like, that's not a sentence that makes sense at all. But
that was right around the time where I was crying, so I'm not sure that
it was well, because then he starts saying stuff from what Desi was saying, and Desi like passed away like a few days beforehand. Spoiler alert: Desi Arnaz dies. But I and Lucille. But I sort of was blown away by this documentary and how it is just a straight down the middle delivery. And it's rare that you get, like you were saying, Lucille Ball pretty much telling her story the whole time, and then it's peppered in with other family members that tell, that fill in the cracks or just fill in their various perspectives of what it looked like. And then also, like, when you didn't care about their personal life, it also included some of the greatest minds in television between Bette Midler, Carol Burnett, and Norman Lear, who I'm just like, oh, thank God. Like, Norman Lear, man, this guy is just like, he literally is the personification of television. he is telling us how they pretty much invented what television is today and what comedy television is today, and how it does ever evolve, and what happened with their careers, and how in their careers they got they started to not literally but almost kill themselves with their careers, and they destroyed their relationship with it, because they became more business people than creators. And it was like this heartbreaking story that you did not hear from the I Love Lucy side, which was just like a really amazing thing.
And their relationship really blossomed even more after they divorced, which is always interesting to hear. But Ankit, any interest in Lucy and Desi?
No. You guys were being so passionate
after
about it.
all of that.
Don't pass the mic to me.
I've got a tear in my eye. Let's go.
I'm just like eating up half a sandwich and
whatever.
I think if I was to be asked like what my favorite type of film is, action and drama are definitely up there. But God, do I love a good documentary. Like, I am a sucker for something like this. And it latched me on right away. Like, I was right there with it.
That's the thing, though. It's like, I don't watch a lot of documentaries, but when I do, I'm like, this is great. I should watch more documentaries. But then, like, I just don't.
I hear you. All right, Sean, this is a Kanye-free podcast, but we'll make an exception here for Genius.
I won't be advising anything towards my thoughts on Kanye. I'm talking about the documentary purely. This one is called Genius. Oh shit, I just got that. Genius. Holy shit.
No, you didn't just get that.
No, I got that a while ago. But in this case, so this is a 3-part documentary about Kanye West, which each part is an hour and a half long. So I consider them like kind of a trilogy of films. What's interesting is the first part is about him trying to get his record label. The next part is about him rapping Through the Wire. And the third part is everything else from Through the Wire to now. So I'll sort of explain that. But what I really love about this is the criticisms have been that, like, wow, they're packing a little bit too much in that third part because it looks like it's impossible to fit everything in there. And what I like about that is that the director, Cootie, was following him around for a very long time, like, through the beginning all the way. But obviously Kanye started to ditch him towards the third part. And so the filmmaker begins to turn the camera on himself. And it is more of just a study of how he is looking at Kanye through the way we are all looking at him. But then occasionally he's invited to a certain party. Occasionally he's invited to a meeting with Kanye. Occasionally he's invited to something else with him there. So we see how Kanye, has sort of changed, or how he has been the same the whole time. When we see him walking through the record studio, going into various different record exec offices, like the waiting rooms of them, playing his music and looking around to see if anyone notices, you notice there's already that insecurity. This is someone that also like takes out his retainer, puts it on the table while like there's one of the other music producers that want to try to like sample his record. And it's like, and they're just like, is that your retainer right there? What are you doing? Get rid of that. And he just cares about like, hey, no, do you want to try to like, sample something on Jesus Walks right now, please? Like, do you want to do something like that? Or him rapping along to whatever he can, or seeing that he has that raw talent. And then it goes to Through the Wire, where he's getting that approval, where he's getting like the second one, where he's getting that approval constantly, and he's starting to rise up a little bit more. And you see that, he's willing to go wherever he can. And then we just start to lose it with this. And then there's a moment where he's in a crowded stage, and like where like it's the sample of the album. I forget which album it was, but it's one of his like recent ones, not the most recent, but one of his recent ones.
It's not Donda.
It's not Donda. It's the one before it, I believe. He's playing it to the entire crowd, and he's like, what do you guys think of it? And he's looking around to see what everyone thinks, just like he was in the first movie in the waiting room. I remember seeing this, and I'm like, okay, so I don't know if Cootie realized he had like such a brilliant character arc on his hands here, where there's still more to go with this guy, because we don't know what he's going to do. But it does not bash him, which, I could argue, I think it should, but it doesn't. This documentary does not bash him. It does not worship him. It does not even like give him the out of like, dealing with like some of the craziness. And I'm using crazy flippantly, and I shouldn't be. It's like some of his like mental issues that he probably does have. And it's instead just sort of analyzing what he is in this culture. And it was a ride when I watched this. I was happy I watched it by the end. I didn't know if I would enjoy it as much as I did, but damn.
What is this on again?
This is on Netflix.
Okay.
Yeah, like I don't even know if he got approval. I think you'd have to, but
that's just very interesting to me. Have you let's not forget he ran for president of the United States.
That's in there.
That.
That's about 20 minutes.
You guys ever watch It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia?
Oh yeah.
Yes.
So are you caught up on it, Ankit?
No, I'm a few episodes in this last season, but I'm not fully caught up.
The very first episode of this season is them trying to justify their PPP loans that they've taken. And the whole time they keep talking about their guy in Washington and like voting for their guy, and you think it's Trump, and by the end they're like, no, what are you talking about? We voted for Kanye.
Yeah.
And it's just great. Absolutely great.
Oh, God.
Yeah, I can't say that I'm interested in that one.
No, I won't lie. I mean, that is just something where it's you got to have an open mind when you're jumping in there. It's going to be a crazy pool, but it's not what you think it's going to be. Where it's just I don't know. I don't know the best way to put it. Where so the other one very quickly, it's After Yang. It is a beautiful film about loss and family and a mix of like the sci-fi. It's lame to always say like Black Mirror kind of stuff with this. I hate doing that, but like this has that sort of level to it. Colin Farrell, who is just amazing in Batman, the Batman, is like amazing in an entirely different way in this movie, but still like in an exceptional way. So you could see that his performances go everywhere. But really, this one, I mean, I will just say kind of slow throughout it. And so that made it a little bit tough for me. But for the most part, After Yang was definitely an absolute treat.
Nice.
You sent me a really funny text message during it.
What did I say during it?
Oh wait, the robot was actually a person at one point.
There may have been a point where I wasn't. I don't know. Not paying attention.
All right, Ankit, you've been watching award hopefuls as well as Pam and Tommy.
I need to balance the two out. Watch a nice dramatic indie movie, and
those work together. Yeah.
I mean, this time of year, I just like to crack away the award hopefuls. see if anything deserves the hype that it deserves to get, I guess. So I've seen pretty much all the Best Picture nominees. I still have to see Drive My Car and West Side Story. West Side Story, I know, just launched on Disney Plus, so I will be watching that. The theaters were still closed in Canada when it was like up and running.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. What do you guys feel about the nominees this year? I'm like pretty underwhelmed.
I like them.
Yeah.
I have to watch Drive My Car. I completely forgot that it went to streaming here.
Yeah.
So it's on HBO Max. So I'm going to probably get to that this weekend. But I don't. The award season's just been crazy. Like I'm riding Coda right now because I want to see like that upset. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, sorry. Please go ahead.
It's a mishmash for me. I mean, there's for the most part, like I like pretty much I like all 10. There's a couple that I'm a little bit sour on, but there are a few that I know that are a little bit boring for some, and they're not a big fan of them, and others that are entertaining, heartwarming, and good for like all audiences. And I don't mean that in like a rating system way. I mean like they can reach like I always say like it passes the parent test. Like would I recommend this movie to my parents? And that's the way I want to see it. Where like we could all enjoy this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. I definitely am. I too am rooting for Coda, I would say, or Dune, purely just from a filmmaking standpoint. But yeah, I don't know. It's not even that the others are bad at all. Like all the ones I saw, like I genuinely enjoyed them.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like there's like if you're nominated for Best Picture, there's like a certain level you should be at. And I don't know. I just felt like most of the movies this year that are nominated weren't at that level. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I'm not like in the film community anymore on Instagram that I'm not as like into it. But I don't know. I just feel like detached from a lot of it.
Yeah, I can see that. It's a very diverse field in terms of the type of movies that are nominated this year for Best Picture. So it's going to be an interesting finish.
Yeah. And then Pam and Tommy, it's fun. Like it's. I'm really digging the casting. I never would have thought of Sebastian Stan in that role, but everyone's doing a really good job.
What about Jason Mantzoukas in his role?
He is the penis, right?
He's the penis.
Okay,
yeah.
That's
Joe. Have you seen this?
I know, but I know that there's a whole thing.
Jason Mantzoukas plays Tommy Lee's penis.
Yeah. Okay. Good. I'm gonna tell my girlfriend that because we were watching it. And I was like, I think that's Jason Mantzoukas. She was like, no, it's like he has that very distinct voice.
I would have loved it if she was just like, no, that's a penis. Like, I think that's Jason Mantzoukas. No.
Okay, good. I'm glad to know I'm validated. It's a fun show. We have the one episode left. I don't know. It's just cool to see a story from like something I've grown up with. Like it's happened in my lifetime, and I can actually have a reference to go for.
Can I tell you that as soon as you said Jason Mantzoukas, I was like, of course he did that. Like there's nobody else that I would peg for that. That's more perfect for it.
They called him and he said like he didn't even come close to hesitating. He was like, "Yep, nope, happening." Oh,
crazy. All right, let's dive into our news. We have a lot to cover, but we're going to get through some of it fast because we've talked about some of it already. We talked about the Batman ad nauseum, but we are getting 2 spin-off shows. One originally was going to be focused on the Gotham City Police Department, which had a lot of people scratching their heads since we did have a whole series focused on that called
3
Gotham.
seasons.
But we have since learned that has kind of been reimagined and moved into something more focused on the Arkham Asylum, which is pretty cool. And today, the Penguin spinoff series starring Colin Farrell got a straight-to-series order for HBO Max. So, Ankit, both of these, are you excited for both of them? One of them? None of them? What's your feel?
Both of them, definitely. I am glad they made the shift from Gotham Police to Arkham. Not to say anything. I love what was done with the Gotham Police in the movie, but I don't know. I feel like there's so much more to do with Arkham. And I don't know, maybe I got hacked, but me and my buddy were having a conversation about this. And, we were just spitballing after the first, the big Batman trailer, like what the sequel could be about. And we both came to the conclusion it would be awesome if there was an Arkham specific story where it's like a horror movie that like Batman is trapped in Arkham and he has to fight his way out. And it's like Hugo Strange locked him in there, and he's just like releasing all the rogues gallery that he locked up. So it's like a weird Shutter Island type movie, and it kind of looks like this is happening. Like I've heard from Matt Reeves that it's going to be like a horror based show, which sounds awesome, and I really want them to just explore the entire rogues gallery.
Yeah,
just
that would be a
the
great
most
setup for a
obscure
sequel.
person. Yeah, just bring him in.
Yeah,
so
I'm
very
all
happy
about
with that, and I'm also really, really happy with the Penguin. I said what I said up top.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we already know that the Joker is hanging out in Arkham, so that would be. I wonder if we're going to get like more of kind of what if it's like a period piece of Arkham, like how that came to be. Like I would be interested in that too. But I really do like that they're going to flesh this out a little bit more, because I'm trying to think real quick to the other movies, aside from the references of somebody being in there or somebody breaking out of there. We haven't really gotten a thorough look at what the workings of it are. Who else is in there?
No, we haven't.
Sean, your thoughts?
I mean, I'm thinking, one of the huge issues with the Batman was the Barry Keoghan Joker. At the end, as people were just like, either they couldn't see it, or they hated the look of it, or they hated the sound of it, or they didn't like that it was there, or something like that. I'd say this is probably the opportunity they're going to use, or the opportunity they have to make this look great, and to have maybe the 10 episode, maybe not center around him, but he'll be one of the stars. You'll bring Dano in there, a few other different people. I heard, and I can't remember where I heard it and how I heard it and in what context I heard it, but I heard Calendar Man, and I don't know apparently he's chilling there. There's rumors of that going on. So that would be interesting. In terms of Penguin, they were already going for that series order beforehand. And I think they were waiting for, they were already going for the series order because they've already seen what Colin Farrell was doing. And they said, okay, this guy needs a series. They're waiting for the public reaction, which they knew was going to be probably good. So now right away, boom, this is a series order. We're ready to bring this in. So I think that's what both of these are. Like you said, thank God they're not doing like a Gotham PD. First of all, PD shows not exactly the most popular thing right now. So maybe just do something else that isn't going down that avenue. But also, once again, 3 seasons of Gotham. It's like the exact same thing. So I'm happy that they're doing this instead.
What if they branch out into shows like series, just like they do the Chicago series, like Gotham Med, Gotham PD,
Gotham Med.
He
has a pencil in his skull.
So yeah, it's like Grey's Anatomy, like Gotham Anatomy.
Yeah, just hot doctors.
Yeah. So the thing with Calendar Man that's interesting is he is very present in what many believe the source material was originally for this the Batman.
Yeah, it's the Long Halloween, right?
In the Long Halloween. And the 2 other things. One is that slight spoiler, I guess, but if you get to the end of the Batman, they promote that website again, and people went on the website, and it ended up leading to something to decode, and people have decoded it that basically points to a return of the Riddler. So I don't think we've seen the last of him in whatever way that's going to pop up. The other thing is there's apparently two additional deleted scenes with the Joker. So from the movie. So that's going to be interesting to see. I think one of them was an interaction with Pattinson. But I wonder if that I know that they were testing both versions at one point with more Joker presence and less Joker presence. And clearly they went with less. But I also wonder if that's part of shifting some of that narrative and what they would have explored or introduced to this to give him more of a pull. Because I'm Jokered out a little bit. But to put him in the Arkham Asylum and have him kind of be the quarterback of the craziness, I'm all about that. Well, at least they're doing well with the Batman, because they have no idea what they're doing with everything else. DC League of Super Pets, which I've been on the record as saying is my most anticipated movie of 2022.
You're going to be okay, bud.
Is moving to July 29th. The biggest... So I'll run over these real quick. Aquaman 2 is moving to March of next year from December. Shazam is moving up to December, which is really fascinating because they said that it's COVID related, but Shazam was the most recent one to finish filming. So I don't totally get that because whatever. And the other one that you pushed is an animated movie. But anyway,
And Aquaman, you're in front of a damn green screen the whole time. There's one dude there on strings. Like I saw Entourage. I know how it's filmed. God damn it! I want my Aquaman so freaking bad. Oh,
you love Aquaman. The
I
biggest
love Aquaman
move here,
so much.
the biggest move here is that the Flash, which is set to reset the DCEU in some way, has been moved 8 months back to June of next year, which is really wild. This movie was originally announced in 2014 to be released in 2018, and now it's going to be released in 2023 as of now. It's like kind of getting it's like the Morbius effect, like it's getting pushed left and right. I have to bring this up because, of course, it always pops up when DC does anything. The Snyder Bros are out in full force on Twitter right now, and the conspiracy theory they're running with is Discovery's very big on HBO Max, number one, as well as the Snyder Cut and the success that they had with that. And there's been support expressed in the past for that. That merger or whatnot is happening. I think it's done soon or whatnot. Their theory is that it might have something to do with Discovery coming in and wanting to incorporate more Snyder.
No, for the love of God, stop doing this to yourselves. Stop doing
Even
it.
Snyder's over it. Why are they still going for it?
No,
He
he's
even
not.
said
He's
that.
doing weird stuff.
No, but like he's at least doing other things. He's like, that's part of my life that's gone. But everyone else is just like, we need this universe.
See, I'm a firm believer that there is something in the works. I don't think it's going to be like, I don't think they delayed all their movies because of it. I do think they're leaving the door open. If they wanted to do some follow-ups on HBO Max, they totally could. But I just thought that was funny because, of course, that's always coming up. What do you think about these moves? I mean, if it is COVID related, sure, I guess, but it's being met with some confusion at a time where COVID is really we're doing well in the fight against it right now. But Sean, your thoughts here?
I can't find what Warner Brothers is going to release for the rest of the year.
That's
like it's Super Pets and that's it. Like they're like trying to tank themselves. I'm sure there's other movies possibly, and it's weird to have like COVID related announcements at this time.
Yeah,
I don't know if they're trying to push a narrative. Like this doesn't make any sense. And some of these are ridiculous. I mean, like from November 4th to June 23rd, we're probably gonna have our next variant by then. Like they're if they're playing this far ahead, it's not gonna work.
Yeah, Loki season 2 will be filming at that point, so we'll definitely get new variants.
I'm kind of baffled by this, and to have them all like announced at once. Also, it's not suspicious. It's almost like they're being too clear with their vision of we don't have
of a lack
movies.
of
Yeah, like we don't have anything. We're in trouble. Please help us.
They
like,
also just 3 weeks ago or a month ago released a video.
Yep.
Remember that everyone was like hyping up that it was like,
we need heroes. Yeah.
And now all of them are not releasing this year. Well, except for
where are the heroes?
Where are the heroes?
Well, I love the ones that also like are moving back like a month. Like I always was fascinated by that. Like Morbius did that for a while. It's like they did like 18 moves back 1 month, and it was just like, buddy, just go the 6 months. That's the time to go 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and then like this one, it's like Black Adam. It's like, yeah, we're gonna move back a couple of days.
Well, and Black Adam's the other one that's a little like surprising, not surprising, but it's happened so many times. I guess it's not surprising because of that. But that's been in development hell for the longest time too. So, Ankit, any of these that you're really looking forward to?
No. Short answer. Listen, I think Warner Brothers does not know how to make a cinematic universe.
Mm-hmm.
They've proven it time and time again. They can't like just stick to the auteur director doing their vision of like a one-off film. Like that's awesome. They've done really, really well with that. I don't know. I just like every time I hear about this kind of stuff, I just automatically like chalk it up to, you know what, Warner Brothers, they can't make up their decision. There's too much bureaucracy, too much like dick measuring up in the boardrooms. Like, I don't know. I guess Aquaman, I did like Aquaman, like the first one.
I was about to just completely drag you for not saying
no.
you would be excited for Aquaman.
I genuinely liked the first Aquaman a lot. So, I mean, I guess that's the only one. I don't think anyone's upset that Meg 2 got
The
pushed.
trench.
Listen, that's a date announcement. I'm very excited for Meg 2.
Oh,
Also,
that's the announcement. Oh, that's good. That's
Wonka.
almost like a positive.
Oh,
Wonka.
okay, that did get pushed. Oh, all right.
Wonka has moved to award season.
I mean,
Chalamet.
it does
Best
have
actor.
award-worthy actors. It's
Yep.
got like Hugh Grant, who's kind of like been looking for that first Oscar nom. It's got Olivia Colman. It's got Chalamet. Let's get some noms up in there for Wonka and for Aquaman because it's the Best Picture movie.
I'm just rereading this real quick in Deadline, and they say they're hearing that the changes are due in part to COVID, which is really fascinating because it's not like one movie like they needed more time or whatever. They moved a shit ton of movies here, which is just fascinating to me. But DC will DC, or I guess not even that. WB will WB. And
Unless they're
That's the
really
same
just
thing.
hoping for like HBO like TV shows to really
yeah.
keep them running.
God,
I don't know.
That's
Well,
a sad thought.
And that's the other thing I didn't even think about. Blue Beetle's now going to be released in theaters in August of next year. So they didn't say anything about that getting pushed. But that's another DC movie. Batgirl is slated for apparently December of this year on HBO Max. So like, there's a lot of content coming up. But if they're going to try to interweave them, which at least with Batgirl they are, because Keaton's involved in Batgirl, then like that's going to have to move. I don't understand what they do. Like, I think you're exactly right, Ankit. They just don't have any idea what the hell they're
It's
doing.
best not to put any sort of expectation on Warner Brothers. Trust me, it helps.
Well, my expectations are very high for this casting news of Florence Pugh joining Dune Part 2. This was rumored a little bit ago, or fan cast or something like that. But anyway, her name was tied to it. She would play Princess Irulan Carino, daughter of Emperor Shaddam Carino the Fourth.
Oh,
Yes.
Rolls off the tongue.
I am not familiar with the story, clearly, nor the characters. But Ankit, your thoughts on Florence Pugh joining this already really good cast?
I love it. I really, really love it. I like Florence Pugh, but I love it more for the reason that, I don't know, for some reason, this like book that was released when was it released? Like the
1960s?
Yeah. Like this old sci-fi fantasy book from back then has now become this like hub for just next generation talent.
Yeah.
Like Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet, Florence Pugh. And I personally think that's so important, at least with Denis Villeneuve at the helm. Like you're essentially introducing like next generation to good film.
Yeah.
You're giving them a blockbuster, but you're giving them quality. You're showing them it doesn't all have to be the big CGI explosion fest. You can watch movies that are a bit more cerebral, but also have that kind of like flair behind it. So that's why I'm excited for this. Honestly, like fucking bring Tom Holland in, bring like all the young people that I'm serious. Like really give young people good movies, and then you could get out of this like blockbuster connected universe franchises hell we're in right now.
Well, Robert Pattinson said he wanted to be in this as well, so
do it.
There we go.
I got messages about that today as soon as I said Florence, or yesterday whenever I posted about Florence Pugh. They're like, Robert Pattinson as well. I'm like, okay, I'll tell them. Sean, Florence Pugh, you're a Pugh stan, aren't you?
I'm quite a Pugh stan. I'm
there's a
Pewster.
better name for her.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of something right now. Like, I'm a pew pew. But so
Sean's always going for like a revised video at the beginning.
Yes. So I'm a Pew stan, if you will. I also love the idea of starting to fill up this cast. I don't know how the characters work. I also am not familiar with the source material. We lost a lot of actors in the last one. Well, because we lost the characters, we didn't lose the actors. But we lost a lot of those characters, and therefore we want to bring those money-making faces back, those beautiful money-making faces. We want to bring them back. We want to have like a draw in there to keep this going. Because there has been people have voiced that concern. I don't agree with that concern where it's like, are there enough celebrities for Dune Part 2 to be interesting? I think, absolutely. What are we talking about? But that has been a concern that has been out there. So when that happens, I always like put that in the back of my head, and then it just like is squawking for a while, and I can't control it. So
Oppenheimer will be done filming at that point. So
they'll
about
just
45 actors will be
they'll
available.
just pull back the dump truck to the desert and just like, have your actors.
Just bang the side of the truck. Get out.
Here are your white men. Enjoy.
Oh my god.
I mean, let's face it. What has it been the past like 8 announcements?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't gonna say it, but yeah.
I think that I hope this is the start, in other words, of several more of just young, and I always love to see that, like, young talent, the talent that we've seen in a few things. Yeah, something like Robert Pattinson, something like trying to think of like an Anya Taylor-Joy or something like that, where they're coming in a little bit, and Evan Peters, if you will, someone that's like just been showing themselves a little bit, and they come in there. I'm not saying they fit anywhere. I'm just saying like someone at that level.
No, it's funny how I'm like putting them in tiers as you're saying them, right? Like,
yeah.
I put like Timothy Chalamet, even Zendaya, as well as Florence Pugh, and like an upper echelon, like an upper tier. And then when you said Evan Peters, I was like, yeah, he's good, but not like Timothy Chalamet good.
Oh God, no, yeah.
So it's just funny thinking about, like, we have a lot of young talent out there, but we also have a lot of like award-worthy young talent out there. And then I'd even put Tom Holland in that second level.
Yeah.
Not like. I think he's phenomenal, and he does what he does well. But in terms of like delivering like a Timothy Chalamet level performance or a Florence Pugh level performance, I would put him on that level too.
We'll see what Holland does after Fred Astaire, because I just watched a Fred Astaire movie last night, and I'm like, this is going to go very interesting.
Cherry 2. That movie was terrible. There's another what's turning into an ensemble cast that I'm kind of getting really interested in. This is a movie that I wanted nothing to do with when it was first announced. But Kraven the Hunter is one of Sony's long gestating movies. I started saying it. I'm like, don't use this.
Don't say gestating. Don't say gestating.
Anyway,
Kraven the Hunter.
It's been in development for quite a while, and Aaron Taylor Johnson is going to lead. This is, of course, who becomes a villain ultimately to Spider-Man, who has superhuman abilities that allow him to expertly track his prey. So we knew that Aaron Taylor Johnson was in it. We also knew that Fred Heckinger was in it as well. He was in White Lotus, and he'll play the villain / half-brother Chameleon. Russell Crowe is in this, because Russell Crowe be crowing. And J.C. Chandor from Triple Frontier and Margin Call is directing this. The 3 editions that we got in the past week, the first was Ariana DeBose. Now, this is so funny to me because she like won the SAG Award, right? Is that what it was?
She's going to be winning an Oscar.
Yeah. And like the day after, they're like, oh, let's capitalize on adding her to Kraven the Hunter as Calypso.
Worst announcement timing ever.
So she's in this. Alessandra Nivola, who was in The Many Saints of Newark. Awesome dude, by the way. I actually had the opportunity to interview him in person when they were doing press. And it's crazy how his career is like taking off later, because he's been in a ton of shit if you look at his IMDb. But he's joining as an unidentified villain is what the story said. And then today we learned that Christopher Abbott from Possessor is joining as well, and he's rumored to be playing the Foreigner, who is a mercenary and assassin without superpowers, and again a frequent villain of Spider-Man, as they all seem to be. Sean, as our resident comic book guy,
not a horrible idea to have me as the comic book guy,
not knowing much about them at all. Is this starting to interest you? Because it's fleshing out differently than I think some other projects from Sony have.
There's an interest. I mean, this cast is great. The cast is really the one thing that's holding the interest. I think the Spider-Man villain movies are just all gonna hold this same. And hey, I haven't seen Morbius yet, and no one ever will. But between Venom, it was kind of like, can I be a hero while also being a villain? And I feel like through the trailers, Morbius, can I be a hero while also trying to be a villain? And then I think Kraven the Hunter is going to be, can I be a hero? And I'm sick of that same pattern for every single one of these. And I hope that maybe this will do something a little bit different, a little bit darker, a little bit diabolical. Thank God Ariana DeBose is basically running unopposed for that Oscar right now, because this could be the kind of announcement that like shakes things up a little bit if there was like someone that she was neck and neck with, there could be some snobby people voting and saying like comic book, and possibly like choosing the other person, but she's pretty much safe to win. Asano Navala and Christopher Abbott are like kind of like these, when we do those tiers, they are like at that sort of like middle tier level, but they really are at the top tier. Like their talents are sort of like kind of this like unforeseen and unheard of kind of level that really they haven't been given that potential. So hopefully they do. And actually in some ways they both have been given that potential now that I think of some of their movies, but it hasn't been seen or appreciated enough.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. Ankit, what about you in terms of Kraven the Hunter?
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit, like some of the casting choices are starting to make the film look good, but also at the same time, the first Venom movie, it's Tom Hardy and Riz Ahmed, and that didn't help the movie one bit, So I feel like sometimes with the Spider-Man universe, the Sony Spider-Man universe, casting is used to disguise a weak script in a weak movie, and personally, I could not care less about the Sony Spider-Verse. Like, I'm like, you know what? Keep pushing Morbius. Like April 1st, push it to December. Like, just keep going.
No one's gonna see it.
No,
Breaking news.
Aside from the Spider-Verse franchise,
yeah, that's true.
No, I don't think this like standalone villain universe has really been hitting it for me. Like Madam Web, come on, like what are we doing here?
Oh boy,
They're really hoping to, build their own wing of Marvel's success. And I mean, with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, they're doing well. But I think once they start branching out into this other stuff, it's going to be fascinating to watch.
Yeah. But to like Sean's point, make it different. Like I would love if this Kraven movie is not that like balancing the line between good and evil. Like make him just straight up evil. And by the end of the movie, he's just worse. And he's like, now I want to kill Spider-Man. I'm like, all right, I'm down for that.
I want it to be all of them, just all these villains just like fucking each other over the entire movie. Like that's all I want. Like trying to one up each other. That would be amazing.
Oh boy.
Well, we knew that movie was coming, but we certainly didn't know that an I Am Legend sequel was coming, nor did we know that Will Smith himself was going to star in it with Michael B. Jordan. We don't really know much about it other than spoiler alert, Will Smith's character is dead. So that's happening. They're both producing it. The original writer is returning to write the script, and that's basically the story. But Ankit, I don't know if you were like paying attention online when this first broke, and it was kind of like, oh wow, that's crazy. How? Why? What? Michael B. Jordan's in on it now too? Like, what's going on? What are your thoughts with this?
Yeah, this came as a complete shock. I didn't even know this was like happening. I love the original I'm Legend. I remember like seeing it in theaters back when it came out. Like, loved the film. I don't know. Like a lot of people are speculating it's going to be like that alternate universe because there was an alternate ending where he survived. Yeah. So I mean, I wonder if they'll do that. I doubt Will Smith would sign on to a movie just to play like a flashback role or like a cameo of some sort. So I definitely think he's going to be a main character. It's not going to be kind of like Michael B. Jordan is playing his son and he has flashbacks about his dad. I doubt that's going to be the direction they're taking. But I wouldn't be surprised though if this just ends up like all those other dystopian movies, where it's like first you fought the monsters, then you learn to live with the monsters. Now the real monsters are men,
humans, yeah.
And then you gotta fight the people, like that make that statement about are we really the monsters? I do think that's what's gonna happen though.
Will Smith survives and he's like actually a monster now, and he's just kept in like one of those cages the entire time. Like that's the whole role. But you're exactly right that he doesn't sign on to bad shit. Like I think back to like Independence Day Resurgence. And he was like, he wasn't in it because apparently he looked at it and was like, fuck no, number one. And, he has been recently talking about, someone asked him what his worst movie ever was. And he says Wild Wild West all the time, which is pretty accurate. But since then, he's had a pretty good run, especially when you're in contention for an Oscar right now. Sean.
Yes. I had good points that I totally spaced on him.
Sorry.
But totally fine. I mean, all I know is that he did sort of find the cure for the thing. And so I think that there's something you could do where if he is a zombie, he has the cure now, so he can maybe like, cure himself and, work through that. And, so as a zombie to himself, I think my main issue with this, and listen, I loved I Am Legend. I still like I Am Legend, but there's portions of it that haven't aged well. Like maybe this, in the world we live in now, we don't have a movie where there's a vaccine that turns everyone into bloodthirsty vampires. I think like at this point, I'm like there'll be people standing up in the theater being like, "See," and I don't know if I can deal with that. So that might be my one problem. Other than that, bring Michael B. Jordan into awesome action movies that don't bore me like that Taylor Sheridan film did last year.
Yeah,
It's boring.
That was so boring.
Which one was that?
What was that called? Without Remorse?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
Yeah,
that one.
the military movie.
Yeah.
I thought you were talking about A Journal for Jordan. I was like, oh, is it that bad?
That was an action movie.
Yeah, that was an action. I didn't hear the action part. Yeah, I'm totally with you. It seems like a weird timing for a movie based around this subject, and also just like not having any idea of how it could actually happen is going to be a fodder for internet chatter as we get some more casting and move closer to it. The last story is. Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, no, I was gonna say, did they say it's a direct sequel?
I don't know that they. Yeah.
Okay.
I am sequel.
Okay, yeah.
I am
sequel.
Oh my god! Once again, just like in Cantu, it has to be I am
sequel.
I am sequel. Yeah, I have no idea. It's going to be fascinating what's going on.
Because I know Will Smith, he said he really liked the take for like the Fresh Prince reboot, where it's like it's like a dramatic reboot. Like they take the same ideas, but just like reboot it into a different kind of like tone and universe. So I didn't know if it was a direct sequel. Maybe they could do that where it's a
reimagined comedy.
I Am Legend will just be a comedy instead of
it's a musical.
It's
a musical. No, they're saying that I'm trying to skim through real quick. And apparently the idea came up and they really loved the idea. They said it was a cool concept and it is considered to be, upcoming sequel. So that should be interesting. Going back to Dune Part 2 and to what we were talking about earlier with the schedule for 2023, Dune Part 2 is also scheduled for next year. So like that's another huge release for next year in October. They also have The Color Purple. They have Blue Beetle. They have Meg to the Trench. They have Coyote versus Acme, which is like, everyone's waiting for that one. And then Last Train to New York, the Train to Busan remake. Yeah.
No. Ew.
What are they on the F train or something? What is going on here? Why? Just make people like Korean content now. Just make them watch the original.
It's on Netflix. We all watched it during the pandemic for obvious reasons. It was friggin' great, dude.
All right, let's jump into the last story here. This is about 20th Century Studios, and of course, it's now under Disney. Some interesting stuff came out during their specific, earnings call it was. But essentially, here's the news. By 2023, the studio is going to be making at least 10 films exclusively for Hulu a year. The Predator prequel, Prey, is still slated for release this summer. I believe that's going to Hulu, if I remember correctly. There also was a reference to more Free Guy movies, so plural.
More Free Guy movies or more Free Guy movies?
More Free Guy movies.
But more
all right. And a script for the sequel is just about done. So we'll be hearing more about that too. Avatar 2 will release this year, and that was confirmed again today in the presentation by Bob Chapek.
It will obviously.
A third script based on the Agatha Christie.
You did that last week.
That's a movie I want to see.
Agatha Christie.
Snack, Crackle, and Pop from the serial.
They're detectives.
Anyway, there's a third script. Kenneth Branagh is expected to return and direct and star and all that stuff. And then also there's a draft of a new Planet of the Apes film script. So who knows what's going on with that? That's going to be directed by Wes Ball, who did the Maze Runner series. So they're trying to like stake their, and remember this is a separate company essentially, but it's under Disney's umbrella too. So there's just so much content coming out of the Mouse House that's just wild to me. But any of these stand out for better or for worse?
I mean, like we both shook our heads and interrupted you, but there's just no way in goddamn hell that Avatar 2 is going to be released this year. There's just I cannot see a world where that happens.
They recommitted to it today.
Oh man, it's just after, maybe it's just because we saw 18 films get moved back. I know it's a different studio, but like it's just oh boy, Avatar. Like I just never thought we'd ever see it, and even this soon just seems too crazy. Soon. This feels soon. It's not, but it feels soon for an Avatar
like
movie.
A decade or something.
Yeah, like that's soon.
More than a decade. How about you, Ankit?
Same sentiments about Avatar 2. I'm surprised they're trying a new Planet of the Apes franchise. The Matt Reeves franchise was really, really good, and I thought they ended it at a nice spot. So I don't know if they're going to just try to remake the same old original story. How many times are they going to try the Predator?
Oh, it's never working.
It's not working, man. It's not working.
Well, also, isn't a prequel to the Predator just like kind of the entire movie of the Predator? Like,
kind of, but this is also set up. Let me try to pull it real quick. It's set in the Great Plains in 1719.
Okay.
Oh, what does that mean? That's silly.
That doesn't add anything.
What's it hide with?
Sam Elliott said that wasn't filmed.
Sam Elliott and his gay cowboys.
That's how
there were no predators when I was around. There was no predators.
He wore
a gay predator.
There was a predator there. He became invisible. I just didn't have that one around there.
Good news, I guess. I'm good with all this, honestly. I'm interested in all of it. The only one that kind of stood out was, as a surprise, was the Planet of the Apes, like you said, Ankit, because I felt like they're good with that. But it's a franchise, and they're sorry, my dog's walking around really loudly. But there is never going to be a time where they let a franchise just rest. They're always going to tap back into it. So here we are.
I love the Free Guy movies. I think that that actually does sound like it could be a lot of fun. I mean, the first one was obviously a blast. You obviously can go back to that well, and you can go to that well in various areas. And because it's, there's just worlds of video games where you can goof off and have fun. I don't think any of those movies are really going to be like this. I hate this word, but masterpieces or anything like that. But like, I chuckled my ass off in the first one.
Yeah, I feel like they struck gold unexpectedly with the first one, and that's an example of like, just let it be.
Yeah, I feel you there.
But they're not going to do that. So
no.
That story about Free Guy, I'll be honest here, I bootlegged it, and in the last 10 minutes of my stream, the movie switched to Spanish. So I don't really know how it ended. I can make it. I can like put two and two together.
I think, yeah.
But I was like, this is interesting.
The Guide to Movies podcast does not condone using LimeWire, Napster, Kazaa, or any of the sort to bootleg movies. Did you see LimeWire's coming back though? They rebranded themselves as NFT focused.
Oh my god!
You can't just say that and like be like popular. Like it's just like I'm just gonna let's get popular by being NFT. Everybody freeze for our NFT. Ready? 1, 2. Here we go. We got our NFT.
It's like Gen Z and early 2K revival just coming together.
God, can't handle it. All right, let's dive into. Go ahead, what?
No, just early 2K revivals.
Let's dive into rants and raves. So I've been ranting the past 2 days about Disney in Florida. I'm not going to get into it too much here, but just direct you to TikTok or Instagram if you are interested. The long and the short of it is Florida just passed a really disgusting bill that is very much supported by the governor. And he has signaled from the beginning that he's going to sign it into law. And essentially the bill is being referred to as the Don't Say Gay bill, but it focuses first on K through third grade classrooms, saying that there is, there goes my dog again. He's like, he's talking about this shit again. It focuses on the K through third grade classrooms and would ban any discussion of gender identity, sexual orientation, transgender rights, anything of that sort, anything around inclusion of the LGBTQ community. and would subject teachers and schools to potential legal action if they did. That is bad in and of itself. The second level of this is that there is language in there that could very easily, it's very vague, and it very easily could be used to weaponize other discrimination throughout the state against the LGBTQ community. In a larger picture, this is happening in multiple states on multiple fronts from different angles. So it's just rather disgusting. Where Disney comes into play is Disney has been extremely quiet about it. And I, for one, get very pissy when a large company that is pretty much like known to be the largest company in the state, or at least a major player in the state, stays quiet on such a large issue when they try to convince us through other media and stuff that they are inclusive and doing, everything that they can to really push inclusivity and all that stuff. The CEO, who I am not a fan of, issued a internal memo to all employees on yesterday, stating that they stand with the LGBTQ community and their employees, and they wanted to express their unwavering support, but they're just not going to say it publicly, which is just bullshit to me, because again, you wield a lot of power. The flip side of this is that Disney has been funding said sponsors and co-sponsors of the bill financially, which is just, again, bullshit to me. Today, there was an about face a little bit, which was to be expected because there was a lot of backlash yesterday. But essentially, during the shareholders meeting, after the pre-taped presentation of like, here's what's going on at Disney and how everything is, before they got the shareholder questions, Bob Chapek, the CEO, shared that he called Governor DeSantis this morning. And had a very good call. He was like really positive about this call, which was wonderful. But essentially said that they agreed to meet and they're going to bring 4 members of the LGBTQ community who are in senior management or senior leadership in Florida for Disney to this meeting to discuss the bill. And then past that, they signed on to an HRC initiative fighting for LGBT, the preservation of rights and the furtherance of certain rights in the country, and then also donated $5 million to advance certain causes. All well and fine. I was satisfied at that point. What annoyed me was when it got to shareholder questions, there was one very bigoted man who kind of was going off about the fact that they hold Pride. They have Pride merchandise. He didn't say that part, but essentially was alluding to that. And that they have Pride days. So Disney's always had like unofficial days that were called like gay days or whatever for community to go there. Six Flags Great Adventure does it. A lot of them do it. Disney is solidifying that a little bit more. And I think they're leaning into like a Pride parade to celebrate Pride Month. And I think it goes towards more of their inclusivity and wanting to recognize the different people that are coming into their parks as well. So there was that, to which the general question from the shareholder was, why are you getting involved in political issues? And he labeled LGBTQ individuals as a political issue, not as like, people, which set me off. But then Chapek's response was, well, it's tough to thread the needle on political issues, which was just a shitty tone deaf response to me, because no, the answer should be like, we support humans. We are human.
Humans.
Like, this is not hard to do. Yeah, just humans. So that part really frustrated me. And then the second question, I know I'm ranting a little bit on this, but hey, the other part was Chapek was asked what he expects to get out of the meeting with Ron DeSantis. And he went on again to just say that they had an incredible conversation about the genesis of the bill and the process that went into the bill. And that DeSantis wants to find out what aspects of the bill are most concerning. The whole fucking bill is concerning. Because of the mental health impacts it's going to have on individuals that are directly targeted, like youth here who are already suppressed and told to, keep to themselves about their identities and confused, but then also could be weaponized elsewhere. He said that DeSantis wants to make sure the bill's language doesn't get weaponized, but also like that's like I don't trust that, because number one, it's been in the bill from the beginning, the language. DeSantis has had an opportunity to weigh in, has supported it at every juncture. His press secretary said that anyone who opposes the bill is a groomer, meaning like grooming kids for, I guess, whatever they think. And then he also is the same individual that like the Pulse nightclub massacre that was years ago. Last year, he vetoed funding to support the victims of the Pulse nightclub massacre. So like this guy just doesn't like, and also he's an asshole. So like I have no, it pisses me off to see Chapek playing this game and acting like everyone is stupid enough to believe that something is going to change here. And it's just Disney's way of saving face. They also said that they've been lobbying against it behind the scenes. Like, okay. Lobbying against it by throwing the money at the people that were actually supporting it. So I'm very frustrated by that. Disney's really pissing me off with it. Someone wrote a letter in, and a father read it today during his shareholder question, and she essentially was saying the same thing. She said she literally used the phrase "blink and miss it" representation about like just when they try to tout like, look who we have in our movie, and you're like, where? And she referenced the two women kissing in the back of Star Wars.
Yep. For 2 seconds.
It just like, I'm so pissed that I think because like I'm a Disney holic, I'm someone that has gone to the parks like an obscene amount of times. I love Disney movies generally. I really support the company in general. My family's a big Disney family, and this is just a really shitty stance and a failure to stand up as a corporation who provides over $75 billion in revenue a year to Central Florida specifically, and in turn to actually continue giving your money to those individuals who are funding this legalized discrimination. So corporate responsibility is very important to me, and I think you're in a weird way, not in a weird way, but similarly, we're seeing it with the atrocities happening in Russia and Ukraine with certain companies that have stepped up to pull out of Russia, but then others that were kind of like guilted into it, essentially. Like Disney and Pepsi didn't do it until there were petitions going around. But I don't know. Disney just needs to fucking step up here or stop trying to say that you are inclusive and that you value differences and that you value the people. You value their pocketbooks. It's very obvious. But it's time to actually like put your money where your mouth is and start valuing the people.
Yeah, I mean,
Anyway,
I just to like sort of piggyback on that, just thinking about the bill, considering it's about teachers, and I am a teacher. I work with teachers. I like work with a lot of counselors, and I will say that if this bill is what I think it's about, there is just absolutely like no way any teacher would like follow this rule. They would either resign, get fired, or like, just ignore it. And so it is one of those things where I think that like everyone working in a school would be supportive of the kids. And so that's how I think it would go. And I am speaking from a place where the state that I live in is actually very supportive and would not be passing a horrific bill like this. So in that regard, I think, thankfully, like I like that, but I also think that like hopefully teachers are like that in most states.
Well, and two things real quick, Ankit, before I jump over to you, if you have anything to add. It's a slippery slope because we see what's happening in Texas, and you don't have to understand or be a staunch supporter of LGBTQ rights or whatnot. Just don't be a staunch opponent or hater or uneducated individual about it. And what's happening there is that they're basically equating supporting your trans youth to child abuse and investigating parents for child abuse. And so it's a slippery slope, and you got to take all this stuff together. The breaking news on this front with Disney is that literally minutes ago, Pixar employees, the LGBTQIA plus employees of Pixar and their allies issued a letter to Disney saying if Disney is true in its values, it will take a decisive public stand against the discriminatory legislation occurring in Florida and offer tangible support for the communities affected by bigoted legislation sleeping the country. Stand against this bill in Florida and against the similar bills in South Carolina. And they listed most of our states, unfortunately. We need you to stand with us entirely, not in empty words. Which, like, if you saw my rant earlier, I labeled it empty words because that's exactly what it was. So I'm glad to see internally there's still a push here too, because stand the fuck up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's hard. Like being in Canada, I see all the stuff happening in the States, and it's honestly just like dumbfounds me a lot of the time. But yeah, like this kind of goes back to why I stopped watching Star Wars and about the toxic fandoms. I the main thing that drove me to do that is because I hated that Disney did not take the stand. They knew it was a serious problem. They knew that people were being hurt by it. People like, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks almost committed suicide.
Yeah,
because he got all that hate. Like, you cannot just take the stance that we make movies. That's our job. It's like the size that you are, the influence that you have, like as you guys were saying, like you have a responsibility to be a better, like to move the society forward. Like I just hate that kind of people put that bucket on a business. It's like, yep, you're a business. You make your product, you sell you make your money, and that's it. You stay out of politics. But what is politics at this point? If people want to take it like that, then you know what? Disney, you are a business, you have a product, and now your customers are not happy with your product. So what are you going to do about it? If they really want to be that business, then treat it as a business and just pretend, okay, yeah, like if we're getting all this backlash, like we should do something about it. Because if we were creating a iPhone and there was a bug in the iPhone and we had to fix it, like that's what we would do. So just treat it like that, and again, to your point, Disney has been towing this line for so long, like Beauty and the Beast, they have a small gay moment. Star Wars, they have a small gay moment. They try to do all these little things to kind of like just dip their toes in the water. It's like, you can't have your cake and eat it too. Like if you want to appeal and like be like progressive, then do it. Don't just hide in the background. You're too big of a company to hide in the background.
My award-winning TikTok video on this said that they're dipping their toes in water they should have been swimming in for a long time. I just skimmed over real quick a couple other pulls from this letter, and not to make this all about this, but I think it's really interesting in context. They say, we hope that our company would show up for us, but it didn't. And then they also go on to say, the Pixar staff claims, quote, nearly every moment of overtly gay affection is cut at Disney's behest, regardless of when there is protest from both the creative teams and executive leadership at Pixar. So they're basically saying, like, yeah, we try and it gets cut. And then they're demanding that Disney immediately withdraw all financial support from the legislators behind the bill. Wow. Whew. Joe's making another TikTok tonight.
Do it up. That's going to take you a while. You edit those like very, very well.
No, I really don't. I stress out
Really?
and sweat during them.
Oh, that's something then.
I hate doing them. That's why it pisses me off when people like Ankit make such beautiful videos, and I'm like,
You also make beautiful videos.
Yes,
Come
sir.
on. I don't make beautiful videos. I don't know what I'm doing and when I get on that TikTok.
oh, quiet.
That TikTok.
The TikTok. All right, you got a rave, and this links back to our Batman conversation. Go for it.
Sounds good. Do we want to just end on what we did, or do I want to do my rave? Do you think?
Well, I'm up to you. Whatever you guys think.
I can do a rave. All right, so I'll do so mine is pretty also very important to me. My rave is John Turturro. And pretty much what's going on here is I just want to rave about John Turturro for a second. There's no reason not to rave about John Turturro. You should rave about John Turturro all the time. You should have done it after Do the Right Thing. You should have done it after Mr. Deeds. You should have done it after all these different times. Where the night of. John Turturro is just amazing in general. But right now he's having an exceptional year. And one of the things is the Batman. When he got cast as Carmine Falcone, I said to myself, I was like, that doesn't really seem like the right casting. That seems weird, but he's awesome. I'm all in. Let's see what this is all about. I then forgot about it for like a solid year. And then all of a sudden when he shows up during the movie, I just squealed with sheer delight when I saw him. And then that's just because I saw him and I was like, hey, an actor I recognize. He was really good. And I want to just highlight the article on Slash Film that says like the key to the puzzle of John Turturro, or the key to the puzzle of the Batman is John Turturro, is the ability to be both sinister and sleazy, be both like the Gotham that is like a basically gothic architecture, a true evil, but yet also be like the slimy, you're never going to be able to fix the crime that exists here. And you just got to kind of help the people of Gotham instead, which is like a lot of what the resolutions are. And that's what Carmine Falcone was. And spoiler, the decision to kind of take him out of the equation in this was just such an interesting one, because it's like we're done with that kind of like Gotham. We're done with that kind of crime. We're ready for the Penguin, but still that aura in those first 2 hours when he's there, it like he just sort of balances something that I never seen out of him before. And the other thing from him this year is the show Severance, which maybe one time I'm going to go on a rave about the show Severance, because this show on Apple TV Plus is amazing. He plays one of the characters, and he's playing a very different character of the annoying by the book office guy. And it's just like all of a sudden he just shows up, kind of like his sneaky character from Deeds, but very like more like snobbish and everything. And it's just like, I thought the protocol was the post-its go to the left of the keyboard. And he's just like, while he's stirring his coffee or something, and he's just playing such a complete, like, know-it-all asshole that then shows this vulnerability because he's the oldest one in the 4-person office, because this show is fucking insane. And there's a 4-person office with 800 desks because there's something just nutty about it. Oh man, I first of all love the show. It's working with him in it. There's a moment where he is, and this is the last thing I'll say, there's a scene with him and Christopher Walken, and it's just the two of them are admiring art, and I'm just looking at it's directed, some of the episodes are directed by Ben Stiller, and it's just the two of them looking at an art piece, and I'm like, I'm sitting, it's a Saturday morning, and I'm sitting on my couch and I'm watching John Turturro and Christopher Walken look at art, and I'm like, damn it, 2022 motherfucker, God, it's good to be alive.
You lost me after sneaky, because now I keep remembering that. Yeah, he's great in this movie. I'm totally on board with that.
So good.
I was a fan of him since Transformers.
I forgot about Transformers.
I remember,
He's another one of those actors that's so damn good in everything he's in that he also just like, you take him for granted in a way, I guess, and don't think about all the stuff that he's in. Oh. All right, Ankit, you have a rant about the Oscar noms.
Yeah, I kind of feel bad ending on a negative note.
No, it's good.
But it won't be as passionate of a rant as yours, Joe, obviously. But I don't know. I've talked about this a lot, just like with friends who would want to hear it. And even if they don't want to hear it, I just like force my opinion on them. But, it's like every year Oscar nominations come out, and every year people are pissed off because there are some like glaring snubs, and I'm just kind of over it. I'm over all the politics, and I don't mean politics as in identity politics. I mean like campaigning and Oscar, like for your consideration campaigns, like legacy actors who are known so well, if they just do any role, no matter how big or small, they will get the nomination. Like Meryl Streep getting a nomination for Into the Fucking Woods, or in this case this year, Judi Dench and Ciarán Hinds, like they both got nominated for Belfast for Best Supporting. And personally, I really enjoyed Belfast, and I really liked their roles respectively. And they brought a lot of heart to the film. But I'm still that naive person that if you are giving someone the best of something, they need to prove that they were the best in that entire year from all the films that were released. And personally, I don't think that is the case, but they get nominated because they kind of have the legacy behind them, or because Belfast is getting nominated a bunch, so it just snowballs and everyone gets the nomination. Kind of jumping back to what we talked about earlier, Ariana DeBose has no competition. That's what we're talking about. But have you guys seen Mass?
Dude. Well,
right.
We'll go. There's two noms right there, baby.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like that is exactly what I'm talking about. There is this, like, by all accounts, the best Oscar bait type movie. Yeah. It is low budget, dramatic, indie, like stripped down, just focused on amazing performances, and nobody got a shout out. Like nobody got a nomination. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's because they didn't have the budget to do a proper campaign. Mm-hmm. And if that is the case, that sucks. If a movie is that good, the only thing that's stopping them from getting recognition should not be if they can have a good enough campaign budget or not, And then you got into the best director territory, and then Denis did not get nominated.
Yeah.
But every single other category for Dune got a nomination, and it's like, you realize the director sits on top of all that, right?
Right.
Like the director is the one who leads that vision so that these other categories can be nominated.
Orchestrates all of that.
Obviously, it's obviously there's so much talent involved in these departments. It's not just the director who does it all, but there is that top level vision. So it's just all that kind of stuff happening. And then I'm sure you guys know the Oscars aren't televising a lot of the major categories this year. And I know that's rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. And I saw some like really good tweets about how you can make a movie without sound. You can make a movie without color. You can make a movie without XXX. You cannot make a movie without editing. And that is one of the categories that's not being televised, that's being shown beforehand. And I get why a lot of people are frustrated by it. And it's a mix between nominations and just being a slave to this old school method of cable television, that they have to cut the award ceremony short because we have to appeal to advertisers and viewerships, when that is just not like the reality of things anymore. You know, people like, you're not the Oscars, or you're not the Super Bowl. The Oscars aren't the Super Bowl that you can just be on cable and expect this huge level of viewership. Like, their ratings have been declining every year, and it's not because, it might be because the shows are a little bit too long, but it's also because just people aren't watching cable. You know, like the Oscars have not moved into the streaming era. They have not moved into the digital era. They're sticking with their like rigid system, and they're blaming all these other aspects. And I just think the entire institution is flawed. Yeah. And I think it needs to go, to be honest.
I look at it as, you know, everyone, there's the people that, you know, when the snubs come in, there are the people that are outraged, and I'm one of them, but like that is the joy that I get, is the outrage at the snubs. Like, you know, it's one of those things where I was just like, wow, Denis Villeneuve not getting the nomination for Dune is absolutely ridiculous. And I love that I have that discussion. I love that I can have that discussion. I love that I can like get into that. I love that there's something there. If he got it, like, you know, not to say that would be terrible now, because I wouldn't have that discussion, but it would be kind of like, you know, when Agent Smith said, we made a world for you humans, and we live in the Matrix, and it was a perfect world, and you guys didn't love it. I think the same thing goes when we, you know, discuss the various people that don't get those nominations. Then there's a longing for those people that don't get them. I mean, every Wednesday, except during Oscar season, I do what the Oscars got wrong. I've got a long list of stuff. I think it's quite an imperfect institution. It is also just about, like, I don't know how many now, like I think about 8,000 people. And so what you have to do is you have to, like, you know, cater to those 8,000 people. So like you said, it's the political nature to it. And I think that, you know, yeah, like there was a moment for a while where Will Smith wasn't really talking to anybody, and he wasn't going around and like saying hi to anybody and stuff. And that was one of the things that was like part of the problem there. And, you know, then he would like get up and like be popular. Now, should it go to the best performance? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And when we like develop a group that judges that best performance, we can have fun. This is just something that a large body that has made movies has voted on. So the fact that like Drive My Car got into that top 10 is fucking awesome. It's weird. It's really weird. And I don't think a lot of people would have, but like the people that were choosing it from a, like, you know, the like a body that is growing more diverse. And I don't even mean diverse by like in the United States, but diverse by like meaning like out of this country. And they're coming in here and doing that. That's kind of some of the cool stuff right there that I like, you know, see. And, you know, yeah, it's not me or you or Joe. It's just, it's that crazy large group that's going to fuck up a lot, but still also kind of do crazy stuff as well.
It annoys me that there's actually campaigning, though, and I mean, it always has, and I'm not the first one to say this, but like, if you're gonna, yes, the best performance should win. Yes, the best director should win, and the movie should speak for itself. It shouldn't be what the schmoozing that happens afterwards and all that jazz.
Yeah,
that really pisses me off, because Ankit's completely right with Mass. Like, that's one that we've talked about for a year now, since Sundance last year, just absolutely loving, and it didn't get any talk until what, October, December.
It's interesting though, because like sometimes the campaigning is just like Alfred going in there and telling Bruce Wayne to shower up because the accountants are coming at 9 a.m. It's not really like, it's just like, oh cool, I get a steak, I gotta go to do a steak dinner, and like I gotta go like wink at some producer and stuff like that. Now that actually is starting to get dark in this situation. But I also think about like some of the issues where like you mentioned Judi Dench, which is probably the most interesting and most famous situation. That chick does not campaign. Like, I mean, does not show up to award shows, does not does not do anything. Like she was actually the lead in Belfast, but she just didn't bother showing up to the rest of the movie. That is how much she just doesn't give a shit anymore. And so like looking at someone like her, it's always the most interesting, because I look at that and I'm like, yeah, how does she still manage to get those nominations? And like you said, it's definitely the legacy thing, but it is still something where, like, how are they not insulted that she doesn't come to all the little parties? I mean, granted, right now there's no parties, or there's only kind of parties because of COVID, but yeah.
The Oscars are their own beast, and
they're
nobody
so
will
weird.
ever understand them.
They're so weird, man.
And like, I'm not saying I know the answer, because it's like, in my heart, I'm like, yeah, it should be a mix of critic opinion, audience opinion, and then like something else. But then, it's like, well, what's the weight with that system, right? Like, if it's audience related, you're going to start getting all the Marvel movies nominated, and like, let's be honest, like that's not what the Oscars should be about. So yeah, it's like, I don't know the answer. It's like, do you just get rid of campaigning, and then every single movie is eligible, but then you're going to get even more segmentation, because people are just going to like come into little pockets and just vote for like specific movies, not out of merit or artistic value, but purely because that's what they want based on a certain amount of criteria. It's super
I think
tough.
we should have monthly Oscars, and the winners each month then go to the annual competition.
March Madness.
Make your brackets.
I will say, Carey Mulligan had the right idea, and because this is just dead on true and is ridiculous. Like, there's 8,000 Academy members. It should be an honor to be a member of the Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, whatever. Carey Mulligan said you have to watch every single film before you vote. That's up there. And it's not like every single film, but every single film that is submitted for like those certain Oscars, you have to watch every single one. Because you know what? There was a lot of people that didn't watch Mass, and you know what? It was a tough movie to sell. It's like, hey, 4 parents involved after a mass shooting get together and just talk it out. It's like, and most people were probably like, no thanks. I'm not gonna do that.
Is it Vanity Fair? I think, like when Parasite won, I think it was Vanity Fair. They released like the list of kind of like voter submissions for the Oscars. It was all blind submissions, so you didn't know who said it or what. Do you guys remember this?
No.
Are they allowed to do that?
Yeah, like it was like, there's no names listed, but it blew up because you kind of got those kind of biases of people who like weren't interested in watching other films. Like there was that one person who said, I want Once Upon a Time in Hollywood to win because it's an American movie and I want American films to win. It's like,
these are they do this every year, the blind Oscar ballots. I always love seeing these. Oh my God. It's like 3 or 4 like people's like, 3 or 4 like interviewees, and they look at their like, and it's weird because it's just 3 or 4 and everyone loses their mind for them, because it'll just be like, it'll be someone that says, what's one for this year that I'm going to do an example of this year. Nightmare Alley will win because I am voting for it. And the cinematography was amazing.
An American Carnival movie.
I believe in American carnivals. And then hucksters.
All right, well, let's wrap this up because there'll be more to talk about as the Oscars get closer. We're only a few weeks out from them, which is crazy. But we have a couple more award shows in between now and then. Independent Spirit
PGA.
and what?
PGA, which is going to that'll see if Coda's going to really wrap up that win. Come on, baby.
Vancouver just voted Power of the Dog as best movie. So
it's good. Yeah. Come on. Yeah.
All right. So coming out this week, Turning Red hits Disney Plus on Friday. The Adam Project hits Netflix on Friday, and Gold, which is a survival thriller in the outback with Zac Efron, hits limited theaters. I'm trying to track this one down for a screener, but I cannot find it.
It's in trouble, baby. I might see it this weekend.
Do love Zac Efron. Announcement wise, we just want to encourage everyone, join our Oscars pool, have some fun with us, win a trophy at the end. We'll be very stressed out on Oscars night, but it is a lot of fun. Ankit, so great to have you here. I can't speak today.
But you've dropped some bangers of some flubs.
Yeah, well,
you're great at it.
Going down, I'm taking the ship with us. But thanks so much for being here. If you ever make your way back into Instagram cinephile life, Godspeed.
But we welcome you with open arms.
Yes.
No, thank you. This was a ton of fun. I'm really glad that you guys are kind of still keeping up and doing everything. And it was really nice to hear that you wanted me on. I was kind of just chilling on my couch. I was like, hey, that'll be fun.
You saw the comments when we first posted. People were like,
people lost their shit. Yeah, they're gonna be happy about this.
Yeah, so it was very cool, and we're very happy to have you. All right, we have a little outro we'll play now. Stick around, we'll chat a little afterwards just to wrap up. But here comes our outro. That's what we do now. We introduce the outro. As always, thanks for listening. You can follow both Joe and Sean on Instagram at Guy at the Movies and Math Teacher Movies. New episodes of the Guy at the Movies podcast with Joe and Sean are available every Wednesday morning wherever you get your podcasts. Also, be on the lookout for special spoiler pods where we dive deep into the latest film releases. If you like what you hear, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. See you next time.